we sure that it's only Tuesday?
It is only Tuesday. Welcome to Take Back Your Life with Grit and Grace. I'm Leanne Bonnell. I'm a certified life and health coach.
And I'm Jen Ingram. I'm a health coach. And it is Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. It feels like it should be Friday. Anybody else
Well,
feeling?
I think that's it's the perfect segue for our topic this week. Because this week we are talking about overwhelm. And I yeah, perfect segue. If I'm feeling like it's only Tuesday, obviously I could use this topic. Overwhelm.
Yeah.
Overwhelm.
So the way we came up with this is I was in engineering for 5 years. 5 years ago, I was in engineering. I have left engineering after 20 years in the field. I am determined not to go back. And here's why. I was overwhelmed. And I know that word gets used so much, and it's one of those words that gets overused. Like in the 80s, it was gross. Okay. Overwhelm is the new gross. But what I mean by that is that we as a society wear this badge of busy, like it's some type of Congressional Medal of Honor. We all must have it on our chest. And if we don't, we're doing something wrong. So the more I have researched this with the women that I work with, what I've discovered is that busy isn't the thing. Overwhelm is the thing. And because we are so busy in our lives, what that leads to is overwhelm. And when we get overwhelmed in our personal lives, our professional life just goes to poop. And as a recovering engineer, I will say that I am a recovering engineer, but as a recovering engineer, what I have discovered is that the busyness of my career took over my life. And I have an older child. He's in his 20s. And I got him when he was 15. So I never really had the little child that I had to deal with. But I'm sure that moms, engineers who are moms, have that overwhelm constantly. And the thing that when Jen and I were talking about this, what I said was, we have a bunch of folks who go into these corporations that are generally male dominated, women especially. They go in, they think that it's something that they can change on a dime. Well, what they don't understand is that these companies who've been around for 25, 35, 50, 100 years have a culture, and they cannot change it on the dime. And the culture says, oh, you're a woman, you got to work twice as hard as a man to get recognized, which leads to the burnout and which leads to the overwhelm.
Yeah. I think we forget that really it's about laying the foundation work for the change that's yet to come. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes it is an entire culture shift, which requires a mindset shift, and honestly may even require the retirement of some tenured folks who have been in the culture. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but that does often lead to a lot of change. And so you're really, I think we go in thinking, well, if I just show up and I just show up as this powerful woman who knows her stuff and blah blah blah, that this is what's going to change. And really it's about setting the foundation work and creating that slow, those little nuggets that you drop. And some of that starts with boundaries.
Yeah.
I am not required to work twice as hard as you to prove myself. I proved myself when I was hired.
And you earned your spot because you have the same or similar degree. You have the same or similar experience, maybe. You've earned your spot. And the one thing that I would tell women in technical fields, and even Jen is in a technical field, for those of you who don't know, she's a project manager. And so she's dealing with the same stuff that an engineer or another technical person might deal. She is a technical person all day long. What I would say to someone coming out the gate, because I saw this on a Facebook post, and it at first it infuriated me, and then I understood, and then I was like, oh, I need to reach out to this girl because she needs to be coached. And I did reach out to her, and I haven't heard back from her.
Yeah.
So I hope she does reply to me at some point. She made a list of English words. Now, I'm not trying to stir up a political pot here, but what I am saying is that English is based on French and German and probably some Latin and some other things. And if you know anything,
all the love language.
Yep. And if you know anything about those languages, there's a male and a female. Okay. Spanish has it. Spanish ends in or o. Female male o. But same with French. And I believe German has male and female. And I know Latin does. Ubi sub ubi. Where's my underwear? It's about the only Latin phrase I know. You cannot change the English language and expect everybody to go, oh, yeah, totally. That's so wise. And you can't go in there saying, well, I'm not going to use the word man hours anymore. I'm going to use people hours, because people that you work with will look at you like you're insane. You are not using the technical jargon, and the technical jargon happens to be man hours. Sorry. So you need to be careful with how you deal with that culture that you are trying to change. Because like Jen said, some of the problem happens to be the 75 or 80-year-old man who just will not retire because he doesn't want to hang out with his wife. And that 75 or 80-year-old man has something that you don't have. He has time and he has respect. Even if they hate him, he is respected. So what do we do about the overwhelm?
I think it does have to start with setting boundaries. It has to start with you willing to say no. And it also has to, we get to pick our hard, right? So when you pick your hard, you've got to understand what comes with that. So in other words, let's say you're someone who says, I want to be a rebel. I understand this is societal norms say I should do this, but I just don't buy into the societal norms. I'm going to be a rebel. I'm going to go against it. That's fine. You absolutely, you know what? Mad respect. But you've also got to prepare mentally and be prepared that you are going to be in a constant battle until, I don't want to say unless, until those norms start to shift. You're going to be in a battle. It's going to be hard. You're going to feel like you're constantly fighting. So you've got to be able to set those boundaries and say, I'm not here to win the war. I can't win the war today. All I can do is set the boundary for myself today. And this is where I'm going to pick my hard for today.
And you never know, you might win a battle. But at the same time, you may get your butt handed to you several times. And you have to be
Yeah.
prepared for that, because whether you like it or not, when we pick our hard, when we set our boundaries, and you must learn to say the graceful no. You have to. You can't just stand there and say, no, I'm not going to do that. It's not how it works. You can say, I would be willing to help you with X, but I'm only going to do Y. You can say, thank you, but you can use the priority thing. Thank you for this new project. What would you like me to prioritize? So you have to learn how to say the graceful no. And I'm sure you can Google that. I mean, I went all this time in my life and just learned about it this morning on my walk. But the boundaries, the no's, and the what was the other thing you said? Boundaries, no's, and there was one other thing. It's all important for setting the groundwork and getting respect. Because if you're going to continue, think about it this way. If you're constantly in a battle with your spouse or your other half or your child or whatever, somebody in your life who you're going to see every single day, if you're constantly in that battle, at what point do you say uncle and choose happiness?
Yeah.
4 weeks of
Yeah.
vacation. That's all you get away from these people is 4 weeks a year. You have to spend 11 months times 40 plus hours a week with these people. And if you think about it, you spend more time with your coworkers than you do with your family. So,
Oh, for sure.
at some point, you also have to figure out, in all this overwhelm, this corporate chaos that you're living with, and all this overwhelm, you have to decide when to cut bait and run. Because if you are constantly battling, you're also setting yourself up for no promotions. You're setting yourself up for all kinds of disaster. So kind of got to choose. And the overwhelm leads to, I think the busy leads to the overwhelm, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there is like like, oh, almost like a sense of pride for the busier that you seem or that we make ourselves. And we have to, I actually made a post about this last week where, I was being asked if I could still take calls during a vacation that I have scheduled in September, a vacation with your darling coach Leanne.
So excited.
And
Wait, I cannot wait. I am so excited. Okay.
me too, me too. And so I was asked if I would be available for calls during that time, and 3 of the days that we're going to be together, honestly, we're not going to be available for calls. But even if we were, one of the things that I spoke to in my post was the fact that what kind of precedence am I setting for my fellow coworkers if I say yes? Because if I say yes and I accept that overwhelm and that busy badge for myself, well, now my other female coworkers feel a sense of, oh, so when I'm on vacation with my kids, do I need to be available for this too? Because, well, if she's doing it, and then what? Am I not going to be up for a promotion because she's willing to take calls on her vacation and I'm not? Or, right, like, and not just in that sense, not just in the sense of kind of a peer pressure, but also in the sense of how am I actually helping my coworkers and, in my case, my clients learn to be resourceful for themselves? if I'm constantly available and at their beck and call.
Boom. It's like when you're raising a kid or a dog or cat or whatever, you don't give the child or the intern or the new employee, you don't give them all the answers. And it's not that you're doing that to be mean. You're teaching them reliability on themselves. You know, if I were to give, this is a really bad example, but you know, my husband plays the I don't know how to cook, and he cooks fantastic. He cooks way better than I do. He's just lazy. So if I accept that, or he puts a dish away someplace else, and no, this, where do you think this goes? Well, where I put it? No, that's not where it goes. You're trying to teach them some reliance and some independence. I know that was a terrible example, but y'all get the idea.
I'm laughing that everything in Leanne's house has its place. No.
That is a big fat lie. Yeah, you should see my desk. Yeah. But everything
Yeah.
I have is within
But it's really, yeah. It's but no, that's a really, you know, we kind of wear like this pride, like, oh, well, I even make myself available for my clients because I want to give great service. So I even make myself available during vacation. You're actually not doing anybody any favors. None.
Nope.
None.
Nope. That's why when I was
So wearing that,
I canceled all
no.
my clients while I was on vacation. I canceled everything because that was time for my husband and I to be together. And
Yeah.
okay, some people were upset about that. Some people weren't. Some people didn't care. And when my clients go on vacation, I'm like, okay, well, I'll talk to you when you get back. You don't want to talk to me while I'm on vacation? No. Oh, rest, relax,
No.
get away.
I want you to have the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
And the quicker we realize
Yeah.
the time is the important thing, and the quicker we realize that it's okay to say no gracefully, and it's okay to just set your boundaries, and you might miss out on something, so you know, get over the FOMO right now. But you know, honestly, if I need 8 good hours of sleep, and that means I don't get to go drinking with my friends because I know they're going to be out until midnight and I need to be up by 5 o'clock to go for, you know, run or whatever. Ha, run. You're funny, Leanne. I go for a walk. Then I skip it. This time. I might go next time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, I know for myself, like when I start to get overwhelmed, then even all the little things start to pile up. And then the procrastination sets in on the things that really need done. And and it just kind of snowballs into all these other these little things. And the bottom line is that it's about just setting boundaries for yourself to not be busy and allow busy to be a status, right? It's like we wear this status of, oh, but I'm a busy mom and you know, I'm just so busy, blah blah blah, to like a sense of pride. And then we do it to our kids. Oh my gosh, I see so many parents do this where they have their kids booked. Like every minute of every day, all summer long, their kids are booked for something. And I'm just thinking, why not just let them be a kid and figure out how to entertain themselves? I mean, that's what we did.
Yeah.
Like you went outside and I mean,
You made up
I don't even
games.
know what we did outside.
You made up games, you rode your bike, you went and you built a fort, and God, I don't know. You did all kinds of things. You played baseball, you played
Yes.
ball. We didn't do soccer. We're old and crusty. But we did things. We played with the neighbors. Yeah, I mean, we did things. And to your point about the overscheduled kids, you're I've heard parents say, I need to keep my kid occupied the entire summer or they'll get in trouble or they'll get into things. Okay. So what? I mean, are you do you have a safe in the wall with all these diamonds and pearls and gold, plated bars and stuff? I mean, who cares? What in the hell are they possibly going to get into? So that tells me right there that you need to spend some more time with your children. And you need to be part of their lives, but you don't need to schedule them within an inch of their lives, because what you're doing is you're raising another generation who's going to sit there and go, I'm so busy. And now, because they've gotten a trophy just because they showed up, rolled out of bed, picked their nose or whatever, you're raising entitled, over stress, underproductive, overwhelmed children who are just like, I don't know what to do. And they whine. And, people like me just want to walk up and smack the living hell out of them and you for raising such a brat.
Well, and they don't know how to how to be with themselves, how to be in silence, how to, yeah. And so then when something occurs that then requires them to just be, and there is a moment of silence, or as we saw in 2020, this
Many.
huge moment of pause, right? Like they freaked out. And for some of it, now don't get me wrong, it extended far longer than any of us wanted. And it bothered, we all were impacted differently. But I one of the things that I kept hearing over and over was, well, my kids don't, now they're not busy. And I thought, well,
That's
your
great.
kids can still go outside and play. Like, and then you saw everybody, you started to see some of the families who started to figure out, well, we can make stuff. This is where you started to see families creating dances on TikTok, and then TikTok blew up, or you started to see um, families building things, or suddenly spending, doing camping trips that maybe they had never done, and creating experiences that is teaching true conflict resolution, um, and truly figuring out how to overcome overwhelm for themselves. So yeah, I think it starts with, this badge of busy that we then are passing down to our children is really um, is unnecessary, and it's creating more overwhelm for us.
Yeah. And to your point with the 2020 stoppage and all the cool things that came out of it, I mean, I in particular am irritated that a year of my life was essentially taken from me. However, in that year, I concentrated on getting fit and healthy. In that year, I slowed down. I had a Mary Kay business that was fast paced. I was making lots of money. It ground to a halt. Some people were very successful with it, but I just let it go. And it wasn't such a bad thing, I don't think, because I learned my boundary and I'm happy to implement that. So I think what our message is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but I think what our message is
No.
is that busy needs to become that B word you don't say. and you stop playing into that,
Yeah.
because in the long run, what you're going to end up with is overwhelm, overstress, no time, and your life in chaos.
Yeah.
Then you eat yourself to death and you need Jen, and I help you with chaos. I mean, so it's win-win for us, but we really think that if you can pull this off without us helping you, even better. Not for us, but for you.
Yeah. I think that's exactly it. We need to stop normalizing extreme busyness.
Oh,
You
beautiful.
know, yeah, it doesn't need to be the norm. Overworked, overwhelmed, constantly busy, overscheduled should not be the norm. And we need to quit normalizing it.
Yeah. And the funny thing that I have found as the world has come alive again is that people fall right back into their old habits and their old patterns. We're busy. No, you're not. You didn't do anything more this March or this May than you did last May. You ain't busy. Stop it. But it's a great
Yeah.
catch-all to throw rather than just live within your boundaries. Set your no gun to stun and move on.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. I could not agree more. Saying no means saying yes to the things that really matter.
And on that note,
So I think that wraps it up. Saying no means saying yes to what really matters. So stop normalizing busy and overwhelm.
absolutely.
All right. Well, I am Coach Jen, and this is another episode of Take Your Life Back with Grit and Grace.
And I'm Coach Leanne. Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel so that you will be notified when we put a new video like this out.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.